The large meeting room was filled with sounds. Strange clicks came from the Keth delegates. The Vrex made low humming noises. Other alien species spoke in their own languages. All of them sat around a huge circular table made of dark metal. This was the Galactic Council, where all the important decisions were made. Hyunwoo Kim stood at a small platform near the center. He wore a perfectly clean blue uniform with gold buttons. His black hair was neatly combed. His face showed no emotion at all. He had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years now. In those 5 years, he had learned to keep his feelings hidden. "The Terran Federation asks for more time," Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm and steady. "We need 72 hours to finish our proposal about mining rights." The other delegates barely looked at him. Some were reading from their data screens. Others whispered to each other. Only a few paid attention to what he was saying. Council Speaker Veltar was a tall, thin alien with gray skin and 4 arms. He sat at the head of the table. He did not even lift his eyes from his data pad when he spoke. "No," Veltar said. "The deadline stays the same. No more time." Hyunwoo felt his jaw tighten. He wanted to argue. He wanted to explain why humans needed more time. The mining proposal was important for 3 human colonies. Without those mining rights, the colonies would struggle to survive. But he kept his mouth shut. He had learned that arguing made things worse. "We understand," Hyunwoo said. "Thank you for your time." Behind him, Jimin Park sat at a smaller desk with several screens. She was the communications officer for the human delegation. Her job was to record everything and send reports back to Earth. Right now, she was watching something else. Her screens showed Hyunwoo's body temperature, heart rate, and stress levels. All the numbers were going up. Hyunwoo was angry, but he was not showing it. Jimin had seen this many times before. Humans always stayed calm in these meetings, even when the other species were being rude or unfair. She typed a quick note in her personal log, "Day 127 of being nice. Getting harder every day." The meeting continued for 2 more hours. The council talked about trade routes, border disputes, and military agreements. Every time a human delegate spoke, they were polite and respectful. Every time they asked for something, they were told no. The Nexian Empire wanted to place military bases in human space. The council approved it without asking humans what they thought. The Maltherian Republic wanted to change a trade agreement that would hurt human farmers. The council said yes immediately. When humans asked for anything, even small things, the answer was always no. After the meeting ended, Hyunwoo walked slowly back to his office. Jimin followed him. She could see that he was tired. His shoulders were slightly bent. His steps were heavy. "Sir," Jimin said quietly. "The stress readings were very high today." Hyunwoo sat down at his desk. He rubbed his forehead with both hands. "I know," he said. "It's getting harder to stay calm." "Why do we keep doing this?" Jimin asked. "Why do we always say yes when they ask for things, but they always say no to us?" Hyunwoo looked at her for a long moment. He wanted to tell her the truth. He wanted to explain that Earth's leaders had decided long ago that humans should be the peaceful ones in the galaxy. They should be the ones who solve problems with words, not weapons. For over 100 years, this plan had worked well. Humans had built colonies on dozens of worlds. They had trade agreements with most alien species. They were known as the mediators, the ones who could bring peace when other species fought each other. But lately, things had changed. The other species had started to think that humans were weak. They thought humans would never fight back, no matter what happened. "It's complicated," Hyunwoo finally said. "Our leaders believe that being peaceful is the best way." "Even when they walk all over us?" Jimin asked. Before Hyunwoo could answer, his communication screen lit up. A message was coming in from Earth. The face of director So Young Lee appeared on the screen. She was the head of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. She looked tired, too. Ambassador Kim, So Young said, I need a full report on today's meeting. Director Lee, Hyun-woo replied. I'm afraid it was not good news. They refused our mining request. They also approved the Nexian military base proposal without asking for our input. So Young closed her eyes for a moment. Hyun-woo could see that she was frustrated, too. How many times is this now? She asked. How many times have they ignored our requests this year? Jimin checked her records quickly. 43 times, Director, she said. 43, So Young repeated. And how many times have we said no to their requests? 0, Jimin said quietly. So Young was quiet for a long time. Behind her, Hyun-woo could see other people moving around. The Diplomatic Corps building was always busy. People were always working on new agreements, new proposals, new ways to keep peace in the galaxy. Sir, Hyun-woo said carefully, some of the other ambassadors are starting to ask questions. They want to know why we never push back, why we never demand anything. What do you tell them? So Young asked. I tell them that humans prefer peace over conflict, that we believe cooperation is better than fighting. And do you believe that? So Young asked. Hyun-woo was quiet for a moment. He thought about his home on Earth. He thought about his wife and children. He thought about all the human colonies, where families were trying to build new lives. I believe that peace is important, he said finally. But I also believe that respect is important, too. So Young nodded slowly. I agree. The question is, how do we get respect without giving up our principles? After the call ended, Hyun-woo sat alone in his office. Outside his window, he could see the capital city of the Council world. Tall buildings stretched up into the sky. Ships from dozens of different species flew between them. For over a century, humans had been part of this galaxy-wide community. They had always been the reasonable ones, the helpful ones, the ones who could be counted on to compromise and find middle ground. But compromise only worked when both sides were willing to give something up. Lately, it felt like humans were the only ones making sacrifices. Jimin knocked on his door. Sir, there's another message from Earth. It's marked urgent. Hyun-woo sighed. He had a feeling that things were about to change. He just didn't know how much. As he reached for the communication controls, he wondered if being polite all the time was really the best way to help humanity. Maybe it was time to try something different, but for now, he would keep doing his job. He would keep being diplomatic and respectful. He would keep representing humanity the way he had been trained to do, even if it was killing him inside. 3 months had passed since that difficult day in the council chambers. Things had gotten much worse for humanity. Much, much worse. Captain Min-ho Choi stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Incheon. Through the large front window, he could see enemy ships. Keth warships flew in neat formations around what used to be human space. They acted like they owned everything now. The Keth had taken 2 human colonies without warning. They said it was just a mistake in the paperwork. They said the border agreements were confusing. But Min-ho knew better. This was not a mistake. This was theft. Captain, said Lieutenant Yoonji Nam from her control station, I have their ship patterns on screen. Look at this. Yoonji was the tactical officer. Her job was to study enemy ships and figure out how to fight them. She was very good at her job. What am I looking at? Min-ho asked. They're flying in the old attack formation from their training manuals, Yoonji explained. Their shields are facing the wrong direction. Their weapons are not ready. They think we won't fight back. Min-ho felt anger rising in his chest. The Keth ships were not even trying to protect themselves. They were flying around human colonies like they were on vacation. How long would it take to disable their entire fleet? Min-ho asked quietly. Eun-ji typed quickly on her keyboard. Numbers appeared on her screen. She studied them for a moment. 6 minutes, sir, she said. Maybe less. Their technology is old. Their shields are weak. We could shut down every ship without killing anyone. Minho clenched his fists. 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, he could take back both human colonies. He could send the Keth running back to their own space. He could show them that humans were not weak, but he could not do it. His orders were clear. Humans did not attack first. Humans did not start fights. Humans tried to solve problems with words, not weapons. "Stand down, Lieutenant," Minho said. "We don't attack unless they attack us first." Yunji looked frustrated. "Sir, with respect, when do we stop calling it attacking and start calling it defending ourselves?" Minho did not have a good answer for that question. On another part of the galaxy, the Vrex Consortium had made their own move against humanity. They controlled most of the food shipping in their region. 3 human worlds were having bad harvests. Their people were starting to go hungry. The humans had asked the Vrex to keep sending food ships. The Vrex had said yes. Then, 2 weeks ago, all the food ships stopped coming. The Vrex said there were market problems. They said food prices had gone up. They said they could not afford to send food to human worlds anymore. But everyone knew the truth. The Vrex were lying. They were using hunger as a weapon against humanity. Back on Earth, the government buildings never slept anymore. Director So Young. Lee had been in meetings for 18 hours straight. Her office was full of people shouting at each other. Admiral Tae-hyun-oh was the loudest. He was in charge of Earth's military forces. He was a big man with gray hair and angry eyes. "This is insane," he shouted, hitting the table with his fist. "We have the strongest military in the galaxy, but we sit here and do nothing while our people starve." "Admiral, please calm down," So Young said. "Calm down?" Tae-hyun shouted even louder. "Our colonies are being taken. Our people are hungry. And what do? We write letters. We ask nicely for help." Other people in the room nodded. They agreed with the Admiral. Everyone was tired of being nice while other species hurt humanity. "We could end this in 1 day," Tae-hyun continued. "1 day? We have weapons they don't even know about. We have ships that could destroy their entire fleets." So Young knew he was right. For more than a century, humanity had been building better and better technology, but they kept it secret. They only showed other species their oldest, weakest ships. They wanted everyone to think humans were not dangerous. The plan had worked for a long time. Other species trusted humans because they thought humans could not hurt them. This trust had helped humans build colonies and make trade deals. But now, that same plan was backfiring. Other species thought humans were so weak that they could do anything they wanted to human worlds. "Sir," said Dr. Haewon Lim, "she was one of Earth's best scientists. She helped design the secret weapons that Admiral Tae-hyun was talking about. If we show our real strength now, everything changes. We can't go back to being the peaceful species." "Maybe we don't want to go back," said another voice. Everyone turned to look. It was General Sang-ho Park. He was Ji-min's older brother. He was also the commander of Earth's hidden defense fleet. "Maybe being the peaceful species isn't working anymore," Sang-ho continued. "Maybe it's time to try being the respected species instead." So Young felt a headache coming on. She had spent her whole career believing that diplomacy was the answer to everything. She believed that smart people could solve any problem by talking, but talking only worked when the other person wanted to listen. Lately, it seemed like nobody wanted to listen to humans anymore. Her communication screen beeped. Another urgent message was coming in. This time it was from the Galactic Council. "Director Lee," said Council Speaker Veltar's voice. "The Council has voted on the current border disputes and food shortage issues." So Young felt her heart sink. She already knew what the Council had decided. "The Council has determined that these are internal matters," Veltar continued. "We will not interfere in disputes between member species. The Council suggests that all parties work together to find peaceful solutions." The screen went dark. So Young stared at it for a long moment. "Internal matters," she said quietly. "They call it internal matters when humans get attacked. But when we defended ourselves from pirates last year, they called it aggression. Admiral Tae-hyun said bitterly. The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The rules were different for humans. When other species fought, it was normal. When humans fought back, it was wrong. There's something else, General Sang-ho said. Our intelligence officers have been listening to enemy communications. The Keth and Vrex are talking to each other. They're making plans. What kind of plans? So Young asked. They want to divide up human space between them, Sang-ho said. They think we won't fight back because we never have before. They're planning to take more colonies next month. So Young closed her eyes. She thought about all the human families living on those colonies. Children playing in alien sunlight, parents working hard to build new homes on distant worlds, all of them counting on Earth to protect them, all of them believing that their government would keep them safe. How many people live on the colonies they want to take? She asked. About 2 million, Sang-ho said quietly. 2 million people. 2 million human lives that other species wanted to control. So Young opened her eyes. She looked around the room at all the tired, frustrated faces. These were good people. Smart people. People who had spent their lives trying to make the galaxy a better place. But maybe being good was not enough anymore. Maybe being smart was not enough either. Maybe it was time to be something else. Call an emergency meeting, she said. I want representatives from every human world. I want our best military commanders. I want our top scientists. What are you, planning? Admiral Tae-hyun asked. So Young stood up. For the first time in months, she felt sure about something. I'm planning to ask a very important question, she said. Are we going to keep pretending to be weak, or are we going to show the galaxy who we really are? The emergency meeting lasted 18 hours. It was the biggest gathering of human leaders in over 50 years. People came from every human world in the galaxy. They used quantum communication devices to talk to each other instantly, no matter how far apart they were. Director So-Young Lee sat in the main meeting room on Earth. Around her, holographic images showed leaders from dozens of human colonies. Some were governors of peaceful farming worlds. Others were commanders of mining, stations in dangerous space. All of them looked tired and angry. We need to make a decision, So-Young said. The question is simple. Do we keep playing nice, or do we show the galaxy what we can really do? Admiral Sang-ho Park stood up. His uniform was covered with medals from years of secret missions. Most people in the galaxy had never heard of him. That was exactly how Earth's government wanted it. Let me explain our real situation, Sang-ho said. For the past 120 years, we have been hiding our true military strength. We show other species our oldest ships. We use our weakest weapons. We pretend our technology is much worse than it really is. A hologram of Governor Min-Suk Yang appeared. He was the leader of the Kepler 442 colony, one of the worlds the Keth had taken. Why did we do that? Min-Suk asked. Why did we pretend to be weak? Because weak species get left alone, So-Young answered. Strong species get attacked. We thought it was safer to look harmless. Well, that plan isn't working anymore, said another voice. It was Admiral Jae-hee Kim from the Proxima station. Looking harmless just made us look like easy targets. Intelligence Chief Young A-yoon stepped forward. She was a small woman with sharp eyes. Her job was to listen to what other species said when they thought humans couldn't hear them. I have recordings, Young-A said. Secret communications between the Keth, the Vrex, and 3 other species. They are planning to divide all human space between them. They think we won't fight back because we never have before. She pressed a button. Alien voices filled the room. The translation software turned their words into human language. The humans are too soft, said a Keth voice. They will complain, but they won't fight. We can take whatever we want. Their ships are old and slow, said a Vrex voice. Their weapons are weak. If they try to fight, We will destroy them easily. How many human worlds should we take? Asked a third voice. All of them, the Keth voice replied. Humans make good workers when they don't have a choice. The room was silent for a long moment. Everyone was thinking about what they had just heard. Other species were not just planning to take human colonies. They were planning to make humans into slaves. Dr. Heywan Lim stood up slowly. She was one of the scientists who had designed humanity's secret weapons. She looked scared, but also determined. They have no idea what we're capable of, she said quietly. Our real technology is about 200 years ahead of what they think we have. Our ships are faster, stronger, and smarter than anything else in the galaxy. How much stronger? Asked Governor Yon Ho Bei from the Tau Ceti colony. Our weakest ship could destroy their strongest battleship in under a minute, Dr. Heywan said. Our strongest ships, well, we've never tested them against real enemies. We're not sure what they could do. Admiral Tae Hyun Oh had been quiet during most of the meeting. Now he stood up. His face was red with anger. I have been a soldier for 40 years, he said. I have spent my whole life getting ready to protect humanity. But every time someone attacks us, I'm told to stand down. I'm told to be nice. I'm told to let them hurt our people because fighting back would be rude. He walked to the center of the room. Everyone could see how frustrated he was. My daughter lives on New Sol Colony, he continued. The Keth are planning to take that world next month. They want to make my little girl into a slave. And you want me to be polite about it? So Young felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. For her entire career, she had believed that smart diplomacy could solve any problem. She had always thought that violence was the wrong answer. But what if the other side didn't want diplomacy? What if they only understood strength? If we do this, she said slowly, if we show our real power, everything changes. We can never go back to being the peaceful species. Other species will always see us as dangerous. Maybe that's not a bad thing, said Admiral Sang-ho. Maybe being feared is better than being ignored. Governor In-hai Park from the Glisa colony raised her hand. What about our principles? What about being better than the species that use violence? Our principles don't matter if we're all dead or enslaved, Admiral Tae-hyun replied. The debate went on for hours. Some people wanted to keep trying diplomacy. They believed that humanity should never give up on peace. Others wanted to fight back immediately. They were tired of watching human colonies get taken. Finally, So Young called for quiet. She had been listening to everyone's arguments. She had been thinking about what was best for humanity. I want to tell you all a story, she said. When I was young, there was a boy in my school who was very smart and very kind. He never fought with anyone. He always shared his lunch with kids who had no food. Everyone liked him. The room was completely silent. Everyone was listening. One day, some bullies started picking on him, So Young continued. They took his lunch money. They pushed him around. They made fun of him in front of other kids. She paused for a moment. The boy kept being nice to them. He thought that if he was kind enough, they would leave him alone. But they didn't stop. They got worse. They started hurting other kids too, because they knew the nice boy wouldn't fight back. So Young looked around the room at all the faces, watching her. Finally, one day, the nice boy had enough. When the bullies came for him again, he fought back. And you know what happened? He won. Easily. It turned out he had been learning martial arts for years. He was much stronger than the bullies. He had just been choosing not to fight. She stood up. After that day, the bullies never bothered anyone again. Not him, not the other kids. Because they learned that the nice boy was also strong. They learned that being kind was his choice, not his weakness. The room was still silent. Everyone understood what she was saying. The vote will be simple, So Young said. All in favor of ending our policy of hidden strength? Hands started going up around the room. First a few, then more, then almost everyone. Even some of the people who had argued for continued diplomacy raised their hands. The final count was 847 votes in favor, 23 against. So Young nodded. She felt sad and relieved at the same time. Humanity was about to change forever. Dr. Heywan, she said, prepare all our hidden military assets. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Admiral Sang Ho, send a message to all human ships and colonies. Use the emergency codes. What should the message say? Sang Ho asked. So Young thought for a moment. She wanted to find the right words for this historic moment. Tell them that Diplomatic Protocol 7 has been suspended. Tell them they are now authorized to respond to threats with appropriate force. Tell them... She paused, searching for the perfect phrase. Tell them that polite mode has been turned off. The Galactic Council was having another normal meeting. Representatives from dozens of species sat around the big table. They were discussing trade routes and tax rates. Everything seemed peaceful and boring. Council Speaker Veltar was reading from a datapad when his communication officer ran up to him. The officer's face was full of panic. Sir, the officer whispered, we're getting emergency calls from the Keth fleet. Veltar looked annoyed. He did not like being interrupted during council meetings. What kind of emergency calls? He asked loudly. Before the officer could answer, the main viewing screen turned on by itself. This was not supposed to happen. Only the council speaker could control the main screen. The face of Captain Min-Ho Choi appeared on the screen. He was sitting calmly in his captain's chair. Behind him, the bridge of his ship looked busy, but organized. Hello, council members, Min-Ho said. His voice was different from what they expected. There was no politeness in it, no apology, no request for permission. Captain Choi, Veltar said angrily, you do not have authorization to broadcast to this chamber. I don't need authorization, Min-Ho replied. I thought you might want to watch this in real time. The screen split in half. On one side, Captain Min-Ho sat in his chair. On the other side, a tactical display showed space around, the human colonies. Red dots marked the Keth warships. There were dozens of them. They had been patrolling human space for weeks, acting like they owned everything. What you are seeing, Min-Ho said calmly, is the UES Incheon engaging the Keth Fifth Fleet. The council members stared at the screen. The Keth fleet was huge, 47 warships in perfect formation. Everyone knew that a single human escort ship could never fight so many enemies, but as they watched, something impossible began to happen. The Keth ships started going dark. One by one, their engines shut down. Their weapons stopped working. Their shields collapsed. They were not exploding or being destroyed. They were just stopping. This is impossible, whispered Admiral Vorthak, the Keth representative. Our ships are the most advanced in this sector. Your ships were advanced 50 years ago, Min-Ho said. Technology moves forward. You just never bothered to notice. The tactical display showed the truth. The UES Incheon was not even visible on most scanners. It was moving between the Keth ships like a ghost, shutting down their systems one by one. How are you doing this? Demanded Admiral Vorthak. We're using standard human technology, Min-Ho replied. The same technology we've always had. We just stopped pretending it was weak. At that moment, Ambassador Hyunwoo Kim walked into the council chamber. But he was not the same man who had been asking politely for mining rights just months ago. His uniform was different. Instead of the humble blue diplomatic outfit, he wore a sharp black uniform with silver decorations. His posture was straight and confident. His eyes were cold and focused. The Terran Federation has an announcement, Hyunwoo said. He did not ask for permission to speak. He did not wait to be recognized by the council speaker. Ambassador Kim, Veltar said nervously. Please wait for your scheduled time slot. No, Hyunwoo said simply. We're done waiting. He walked to the center of the chamber. Usually, human representatives stood at a small platform near the edge. Today, Hyunwoo stood where only the council speaker was supposed to stand. For 127 years, Hyun-woo began. "Humanity has been the polite member of this council. We have followed your rules. We have accepted your decisions. We have been patient when you ignored us and respectful when you insulted us." The chamber was completely silent. Even the alien species that usually whispered to each other had stopped talking. "That ends today," Hyun-woo continued. "We are taking back our stolen colonies. We are protecting our people. We are doing it right now." On the main screen, the tactical display updated. All 47 Keth warships were now floating dead in space. Not one of them had been destroyed. They had all been disabled so quickly that most of them never had time to send distress signals. "The UES Incheon is classified as a light escort. In your intelligence files," Minho said from the screen. "You were wrong about that. You were wrong about many things." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships that had seemed small and harmless were revealing their true power. The Vrex Consortium had been blocking food shipments to hungry human worlds. They thought their cargo ships were safe because they were far from any human military vessels. They were wrong. Commander Subin Kang of the stealth ship UES Seoul appeared on open communication channels. Her ship had been invisible to Vrex sensors until she decided to reveal herself. "This is Commander Kang of the Terran Defense Force," she said. "You have 30 minutes to resume food shipments to all human worlds. Your current prices are unfair, and your embargo is illegal." "You cannot threaten the consortium," replied a Vrex captain. "We have rights under galactic trade law." "You had rights," Subin corrected. "You lost them when you tried to starve our people. Our stealth ships have been watching your operations for months. We know about your fake market reports. We know about your price manipulation. We know everything." The Vrex captain's face went pale. "Stealth ships? Humans don't have stealth technology." "Humans have had stealth technology for 60 years, Subin said. "We just never told you about it." Back in the council chamber, more reports were coming in. The Maltherian ships that had been threatening human trade routes found themselves surrounded by vessels that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The Nexian military bases that had been built in human space without permission were being politely asked to leave. The politeness came with a demonstration of human weapons that could cut through Nexian shields like they were made of paper. Admiral Vorthak stood up from his seat. His 4 arms were shaking with anger. "This is an act of war!" he shouted. "The Keth Dominion will not stand for this aggression." "Sit down," Hyun-woo said quietly. The words were soft, but there was something in his voice that made Admiral Vorthak freeze. For the first time, he was looking at a human who was not afraid of him. "This is not aggression," Hyun-woo continued. "This is self-defense. For over a century, we have been the victims of your aggression. Today, that stops." Council Speaker. Veltar was trying to regain control of the situation. "The Council demands an explanation for these attacks on peaceful vessels." "Peaceful?" Hyun-woo laughed. It was not a happy sound. "The Keth invaded our colonies. The Vrex starved our people. The Nexians built weapons platforms in our space without asking. Which part of that was peaceful?" The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives from different species started shouting at each other. Some blamed the humans for being too aggressive. Others blamed the Keth and Vrex for starting the conflict. Through all the noise, Captain Minho's voice came clearly from the speakers. "The Keth fleet has been completely disabled," he reported. "No casualties, all crew members are alive and will be returned to Keth space immediately. However, they will not be returning with their ships." "You cannot steal our fleet!" Admiral Vorthak screamed. "We're not stealing anything," Minho replied. "We're keeping the ships as payment for the damage you caused to our colonies. Consider it a fine for trespassing." Hyun-woo smiled. It was the first real smile he had shown in the council chamber for years. "The galaxy is about to learn something important," he said. "Humans have always been reasonable. We have always preferred talking to fighting. But reasonable does not mean weak, and preferring peace does not mean accepting abuse. He looked around the chamber at all the shocked alien faces. We tried being polite. Now we're going to try being respected. 6 months had passed since humanity turned off polite mode. The galaxy was a very different place now. Director So-Young Lee, who now carried the title of Terran Ambassador General, sat in her new office. It was much bigger than her old one. The walls were covered with maps showing human territory. The territory was much larger than it had been 6 months ago. She was reading reports from across the galaxy. All the news was good. The 2 human colonies that the Keth had stolen were back under human control. Not only that, but humanity had claimed 5 more systems as security buffer zones. The Keth had agreed to this immediately. They had no choice. Their entire military fleet was gone. The Vrex Consortium no longer existed. After their leaders were put on trial for deliberately starving human colonies, the other consortium members had decided to form new trading companies. These new companies were much more fair in their pricing. They had learned that cheating humans was bad for business. The Maltherian Republic had signed a new treaty with humanity. The treaty was very different from the old agreements. This time, humans had written most of the rules. So-Young smiled as she read the latest report from Captain Jaewon Hong. He commanded the UES Busan, humanity's first publicly known dreadnought. For over 50 years, ships like the Busan had been hidden in secret bases. Now they flew openly through space. The transition has been smoother than expected, Captain Jaewon had written. It's amazing how cooperative everyone becomes when they realize we've been holding back for over a century. There was a knock on So-Young's door. Admiral Sang-Ho Park entered, carrying more reports. "How are our fleet numbers looking?" So-Young asked. "We've only had to reveal 20% of our actual military strength," Sang-Ho replied. "The Council still has no idea what we're truly capable of. They think what they've seen so far is everything we have." So-Young laughed. If they only knew. "Should we show them more?" Sang-Ho asked. "Not yet," So-Young said. "Let them think they understand our limits. It's better if they underestimate us a little bit. Just not as much as they did before." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session. The chamber looked very different now. The human delegation no longer sat at small platforms near the edges. They had a full section at the main table, right next to the council speaker. Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim sat comfortably in his new chair. His black uniform with silver decorations had become famous throughout the galaxy. When other species saw that uniform, they knew they were dealing with the new humanity. Council Speaker Veltar called the meeting to order. His voice was much more respectful than it used to be. "The floor recognizes the Terran Federation," Veltar announced. 6 months ago, he would have barely looked up when humans spoke. Today he stood up when he said their name. "Thank you, Speaker Veltar," Hyun-Woo said. He stood slowly, taking his time. Everyone in the chamber waited patiently for him to speak. "The Terran Federation has a new proposal for improved trade relations," Hyun-Woo began. "We believe our terms are quite reasonable." The word reasonable hung in the air. Everyone knew that when humans said something was reasonable now, it meant something very different than it used to. "What are your terms?" asked the Nexian representative. Her voice was polite and nervous. "Simple," Hyun-Woo replied. "Fair prices for all goods. No more surprise changes to existing contracts. No more military vessels in human space without permission. And most importantly, no more pretending that human concerns don't matter." The Maltherian representative raised his hand. The Maltherian Republic agrees to these terms. "The Nexian Empire also agrees," said another voice quickly. One by one, every species in the chamber agreed to the human proposal. Nobody argued. Nobody demanded changes. Nobody suggested that humans were asking for too much. After the meeting, Hyun-Woo walked back to his office. Ambassador In-Soo Kwon was waiting for him. In-Soo handled trade negotiations with the smaller species. How did the Centauri meeting go? Hyunwoo asked. Very well, Insu replied with a smile. They actually bowed when I entered the room. Can you believe that? 6 months ago, they wouldn't even return my messages. Times change, Hyunwoo said. The funny thing is, we're actually nicer to them now than we were before, Insu continued. We give them better trade deals. We help them with their infrastructure problems. We share medical technology with them. But now they appreciate it, Hyunwoo said. Before, they thought we were helping them because we were weak and desperate. Now they know we're helping them because we choose to. Back on Earth, Dr. Sujin Baek was finishing her work. She was a historian who had been documenting humanity's role in galactic politics. Her final report would be read by future generations. She typed the last few sentences of her analysis. The great experiment in galactic diplomacy has reached its conclusion. For 127 years, humanity proved that it could be trusted to be gentle. We showed the galaxy that strength and kindness could exist in the same species. She paused, thinking about how to phrase the next part. But the galaxy made a critical mistake. They confused our gentleness with weakness. They thought that because we chose not to use our full strength, we didn't have any strength at all. Dr. Sujin looked out her window. She could see ships taking off from the spaceport. Some were carrying diplomats to negotiate new treaties. Others were carrying scientists to share technology with friendly species. A few were carrying soldiers to remind unfriendly species why they should stay friendly. Today, the galaxy learned the difference between choosing peace and being forced into it. They learned that humanity's restraint was not a limitation, it was a gift. She saved her work and closed her computer. Her job was done. On a distant space station, Captain Min-ho Choi was training new officers. These young people had grown up during the polite years. They had learned to always be diplomatic, always be respectful, always avoid conflict. Sir, asked Lieutenant Yoonji Nam, how do we know when to be polite and when to be strong? Min-ho thought about the question. It was a good one. Being polite and being strong are not opposites, he said finally. You can be both at the same time. The key is making sure that other people understand that your politeness is a choice, not a weakness. How do we do that? Another young officer asked. By being prepared, Min-ho replied. By being so strong that you never have to prove it. By being so ready to fight that nobody wants to fight you. He looked out at the stars through the station's main window. The best victory is the one you never have to fight for, he said. But to achieve that kind of victory, you have to be ready to fight any battle that comes your way. Dr. Hae-won Lim was in her laboratory, working on new technology. Even after revealing so much of humanity's hidden strength, she was still developing better weapons and stronger ships. Why do we keep building more? Her assistant asked. We've already shown that we're the strongest species in the galaxy. Because being the strongest today doesn't mean we'll be the strongest tomorrow, Dr. Hae-won replied. Other species are working hard to catch up to us. We need to stay ahead. Do you think they'll ever catch up? The assistant asked. Dr. Hae-won smiled. They might. And if they do, we'll deal with that problem when it comes. But for now, we have something they don't have. What's that? We have 127 years of experience being underestimated, Dr. Hae-won said. We know how to hide our strength when we need to. We know how to reveal it when the time is right. Most importantly, we know the difference between being feared and being respected. The galaxy had indeed learned a new lesson about humanity. They had learned that humans were not the weak, peaceful species they had pretended to be for over a century. But they had also learned something else. They had learned that humanity's strength came with wisdom. Humans did not use their power to hurt innocent people. They did not conquer worlds just because they could. They did not become bullies just because they were no longer victims. Instead, humanity had become something new. They were the species that other species could trust. To be fair, but also trust to be strong. They were the ones who would help their friends and protect the innocent, but who would also punish anyone who tried to hurt them. The Council had watched as humanity turned off polite mode, but what they discovered was that humanity had not become less polite. They had simply become polite by choice rather than necessity, and that, everyone agreed, made all the difference in the galaxy.